Hi guys, Rob here with Rubber Toe Assembly with another LifeTime shed center truss assembly. We're going to show you how to assemble this center truss. This here looks like a 8x10 and it's the center truss as you see there in the picture. We're going to show you how to assemble that piece. These are a picture of all the other trusses. There's your 2 notched ones and it looks like 4 regular ones, so it's probably a 15x8. Anyways, you attach a connector to your truss gutter channels. It's going to be a regular truss gutter channel that I'm attaching with the long screws as you see there, machine screws. With an end cap on, they label it ADK with an ADK nut on the end of it, both sides, just like the others. And then you're going to attach a shorter channel called a truss brace. Well, no, that's actually not the truss brace, it's the short gutter channel. And again, you don't want to over tighten these screws. I just go through and hand tighten them and then come back later and tighten them all. And you want to snug them up because you don't want to crimp those channels, that's for sure. So you just hand tighten those, put that on, and then I usually run the truss rod with a ADJ nut on the end of that. It's already pre-made. You see it laying there on the cardboard. I usually run one of those through after I put these small screws in the end, just like the other trusses, from the inside out. You'll be coming back later and tighten these all later. Those you don't have to worry about crimping, but the ones on the top there that just slid across the top part of where the roof is going to be go across, you don't want to over tighten those at all. Just snug them up, because see that channel there, the roof pieces are going to sit in that channel. Anyway, you slide your center rod through and you put the nut on the end of that. There it is. Just hand tighten those, and that's what I use to kind of help hold this truss brace on there, is what they call it. It's another channel that goes across. It's just the same as all the other trusses you assembled. Now here's the different side with the short piece you installed. You're going to attach the vertical truss brace, what they call it, to the rest of it with I think it's the second to the last long machine screw. There should be 2 left, which is another long one, and that one shorter one that's different from all the rest. Anyway, I usually attach this L bracket to the horizontal truss brace before I install it. I think the instructions say you can do this after. It doesn't really matter when, but this is how you install it, from the outside first with the nut on the inside, and then I usually tighten this up, just get it over with. That's what I do with a screwdriver and a ratchet wrench or a drill gun. That's how I do it. I believe that's a 3/8. Yep. So I will attach that first, and then I'm going to connect that final piece to the rest of the truss, center truss, and that's going to attach to the overhead gable where your center doors are. That little bracket's going to niche right in there, and a screw is going to go through that. Anyways, you have your final remaining 2 screws. See the shorter one and the longer one? I grab the longer one. I'm going to use that, as you see here, in the middle, and run that through same direction as all the other screws. Make it look pretty. Might as well have them all pointing in the same direction, and when you can, at least. And then you put a final screw on the end of that, a little 3/8. There should be 2 silver ones that are different from all the other ones with the little black cap on them, and those are your final 2 that are going to be installed. I think they're labeled CXK in the manual, instruction manual. And so you hand tighten those on real quick, and then yeah, this is the last screw, the shorter one, saved for last, running the same direction, and that goes through just as you see there, and it gets the final remaining silver screw. There should be two of these. The first one I just showed you, and then this last one right here showing you. And you just hand tighten those. And then I'm going to go through and tighten all these screws you see here. Not over tighten, just tighten so they're snug against the metal. Because once again, you don't want to crimp these channels because your roof pieces are going to drop in there. And you need the space to fit them in there. And this final last piece, I believe it's called the support tube. Yep. And I usually run that through there, put it right in the middle because it's going to be centered, your center truss right in the middle of that support tube. And then I go through and I just tighten all those screws, and then it'll be ready to install. So I went through, did that real quick. Now I'm going to install it. Oh, this one, it looks like is a different one, and it's already been snugged up, and I'm putting it through after the screws have been all tightened up. And you can see a little turning because of the paint is thick sometimes on that little hole that runs through the support tube. So that's why if you don't tighten those screws, it just glides right in there usually. If you do tighten them ahead of time, and then you see there, I just shoved the tube through there, support tube, and then I put these two screws on each one of the trusses that look like they're the notched truss, which is the two that are going to be on the side of your doorways. There's a hole right up there. It's a circular hole, small, just enough room for one of these screws to fit in there. You drop those in, and then you attach it as shown. I pull it down, snug fit into that back channel of the door in the center, and then I raise it up. Of course, being 6'4" helps out a lot. If you're by yourself, you probably want to do 2 people. This is definitely a two-part job. If you have 2 people building this whole shed, it's way easier with 2 people because one person can hold the side there. As you see, I will make it work. I think I was on my own this day, so had to just find my way to make it work when I'm by myself. And I'm pulling on that tube so that the machine screw that's in there holds, and it's also going through that hole. There's a hole there. If you zoom in, you can see it. I think I zoom in on the other side in a minute here. But I just hand tighten a nut on there, just a nut only, with one hand. Little trick I learned. And then that's holding it on the left side. So then I can jump over here. Make sure that nut's on there real good. As many hand tighten turns as you can, because you don't want that to be jiggling around and then have that nut that you just put on over there fall and the whole thing come crashing down. So this is how I do it when I'm by myself. Looks like I dropped a nut or washer, whichever it was, but I think it was a washer. Yeah. And I just screwed the nut on there a few turns, and that's what held it right there. Did you see how it was holding? And I reached down and picked up the washer. So now I unscrewed that real quick, putting the washer on. So there's a washer on both the top part where the nut's running through and the bottom part where it's coming out. And then you just hand tighten that nut on there. I'll come back in a minute and tighten those. Just a couple of turns, a quick zip with the drill gun set with low torque, should be good. And you can see there, great footage of how it sets in the channel. That's in the center. Pretty much eyeballed the center of it. You can kind of slide it left and right later on if you need to when you hook it up to the cable. So then I went back and took that nut off while holding it, put the washer on there, so there's a washer on each end, and then hand tightened that as well. So now it's hanging up there by itself the way it's supposed to. You'll come back after this, and the next step will be like putting the doors and then putting the gable on top, and that will attach to the gable. So I get up here with a drill gun real quick, zip. If it's the first time doing this, you want to use a screwdriver and then a little 3/8 ratchet. It's just safer, easier. I'm just zip, doing it real quick, and it's attached. And there you go. The center truss on an 8x10 there, and they're all the same, 8x10s, 15x8. Hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope it's helped you. Once again, LifeTime Rubber Toe Assembly, LifeTime Shed. Thanks for watching, you guys. Over now.